Madam President, I come to the floor today to continue this discussion of the crisis at our southern border. When Joe Biden walked into the White House, the southern border was secure. Tragically for our country, he then signed 94 executive orders in his first 100 days. He rolled out the welcome mat, and millions of illegal immigrants flooded into our nation. Democrats in Congress joined him. They joined the president. They worked with him. They aggressively rolled back Republican-led policies that had worked to keep our country safe. Our southern border is now a pipeline for illegal crossings. Since Joe Biden took office, almost 10 million illegal immigrants have invaded America. Democrats' uncontrolled illegal immigration, it strains our tax dollars, it undermines the safety of our citizens, it endangers our communities. Hardworking American taxpayers are now paying. They're paying for housing, they're paying for health care, they're paying for government handouts, all for illegal immigrants. According to one study, the Democrat border crisis cost states and cities close to $450 billion each and every year. Now, the heaviest costs of this crisis are borne by families, by communities, and by local law enforcement. Day after day, lives are cut short or changed forever. Just 2 weeks ago in Florida, an 11-year-old girl was kidnapped and sexually assaulted by a 20-year-old illegal immigrant brought into this country under the catch and release program of President Biden. He's here because of this dangerous program. Now, the local sheriff in Florida had this to say. He said, the federal government is victimizing the people who live in this country by letting these people in. To my Democrat colleagues, I would say, who voted for open borders, I'd ask you, what if this were your daughter? What if this were your granddaughter? Kidnapped by an illegal immigrant, brought in by catch and release, a 20-year-old, here. Terrible, frightening. Fortunately, this young girl's mother was able to identify the situation and ran desperately to get that daughter who had been kidnapped. We are here fighting to secure the border, to make our communities safer. Democrats in this body have done nothing to secure the border, done nothing to stop the flood of illegal immigrants. The record by the Democrats in this body is appalling, and let me start with H.R. 2. Now, H.R. 2 is, of course, the House bill. It's called the Secure the Border Act of 2023. It's the strongest border security bill in our history. It completes the wall because walls work. It surges new technology to the border. It hires more Border Patrol agents and gives them a bonus. It ends catch and release, and it reinstates the successful plan of Remain in Mexico. If signed into law, H.R. 2 would stop the flood of illegal immigrants. Now, the House of Representatives passed this bill, the Secure the Border Act of 2023, in May 11th of 2023. Well, that's over a year ago. The Senate Majority Leader refuses to bring this House-passed bill to the floor, and he has been blocking the bill for over a year. Of course, it's not just blocking the Secure the Border Act that's the problem. Democrats will not vote for real border security measures. For 3 years now, open border Democrats, each and every one of them, have rejected solutions aimed at fixing the border crisis. Not once, not twice, 22 different recorded votes. Democrats banded together to say no to finishing the wall, no to ending catch and release, no to restoring the Remain in Mexico policy. They blocked the Laken Riley Act. Meanwhile, they embraced policies that tried to smooth the flow of illegal immigrants when people all across America are saying, stop this flood. This includes sending illegal immigrants cash payments paid with taxpayer dollars. Democrats continue to fund sanctuary cities. For 3 years, my Democrat colleagues seem to welcome the crisis at our southern border. They now want to run away from their record, and we know why. It's because Election Day is less than 6 months away, and they can read the polls. So Democrats can run, but they cannot hide. The Majority Leader recently said the situation at the border is unacceptable. I'm not sure he actually believes that. After all, one of his first comments after the 2022 election, he endorsed amnesty for illegal immigrants. The majority leader said at the time that opening our country to illegal immigrants is, quote, the only way we're going to have a great future in America. The only way. That's what the majority leader said. The only way we're going to have a great future in America. Amnesty for illegal immigrants. Democrats have no desire to secure the border. Every single Democrat in this Capitol is responsible for the drugs, the death, the destruction brought on by the invasion of our nation by illegal immigrants. This is a cycle of suffering that Senate Republicans are determined to stop. This week I introduced a bill called the Build the Wall Act. We know that the border wall works. My proposal finishes the wall. It pays for it by clawing back unused COVID funding. This wall is absolutely vital to our nation's security. You know, once upon a time, Senator Schumer actually supported a border wall. Many of his Democrat colleagues supported a border wall. When Joe Biden was then Senator Joe Biden, and I served with him in this body, he actually voted for a border wall. They've all flip-flopped, and we know why. Politics, plain and simple. So to my Democrat colleagues, I say this. You're responsible for innocent Americans being victimized by illegal immigrants in communities all across the nation. If Democrats are serious about securing the border, they should start by voting for a policy that actually works and is paid for. That's the reason to vote for the bill I've introduced, the Build the Wall Act. And so, Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that notwithstanding Rule 22, the Senate resume legislative session and proceed to the immediate consideration of S. 4392, which is at the desk.
Is there objection?
Reserving the right to object, Madam President.
The senator from Oregon.
I think defunding infrastructure is the end result of what my colleague is talking about, and it turns upside down the bipartisan coalition that has allowed us to use that money at the state and local level with Republican leadership and our friend from California. So that is why I have to object, Madam President, and therefore I do object this evening.
The objection is heard.
Madam President, let me be very, very brief in just pointing out that this bill calls for using unspent COVID money, specifically as a result of the COVID pandemic that hit our nation, money sent to be spent for that. It does seem to me and to probably just about every American that we are way beyond that period of time, and money designated for that purpose that has not yet been spent should be readily available for a project like this. I'd also note that my friend and colleague who's on the floor was, along with President Biden and President Schumer, one of those who did vote on September 29th, 2006, for a bill at the time that was called the Secure Fence Act of 2026.